Coming up next, he's written a second book about his cancer recovery. We'll talk to Dave Welter in just a moment. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Steele Report. Right now, I'd like to go back and talk to Dave Welter. We've had him on the program before. Dave, of course, a well-known educator here in the Cedar Valley who has written a second book about his recovery from cancer. You know, Dave is really a well-known educator, former administrator, high school baseball coach, and friend. I like to call him my friend. He's a farmer, teacher education consultant, husband, father, grandfather. You know, he spent about 40 years in education here in the Cedar Valley, both as a teacher and junior high principal over at Holmes Junior High for a long time. And Dave is also a cancer survivor. I've had you on the program before. We've talked many times in the course of your life over the last several years, and particularly about your two books. The first one came out a couple of years ago, Reflections from the Home Team Go the Distance. And now you have a new book out, Reflections from the Home Team, as a follow-up. And this one is called Staying Positive When Life Throws You a Curve. And life definitely threw you a curve. And so let's real quickly update people about where you are right now physically, as far as your cancer, and how you're planning to move forward still.
Sure, Ron. First of all, thanks for having me on. Right now, my situation is I'm in remission, which is a good thing. I've had ongoing issues with side effects from the cancer, and that's really, that's motivated me to continue reflecting on situations that have been difficult. But to be quite honest with you, there are so many things going on right now in 2020, as we all know, that create challenges for all of us. And for me, the side effects of the cancer are just one thing. I've had so many experiences with people who have been struggling with a variety of issues throughout 2020. And that really did motivate me to put this second book out there for people. It's been really important because fear literally has been a powerful force in today's world. That's been part of my life since being diagnosed with cancer and back in 2009. And it's an ongoing situation, and that's really what I'm hopeful this book can do for people, is give them some strategies to deal with the anxiety and the fear that can be a part of our lives today.
Dave, you use a lot of sports metaphors in your writing of your two books, and you were the head baseball coach, of course, for Cedar Falls High School for many years, and I took them to the state tournament in 1989. You've been a scout for the Major League Baseball Atlanta Braves, so you use a lot of sports theories and philosophies in your life. And I notice in your new chapter, or one of the chapters in your new book, it's overcoming negative thoughts and fear. You just alluded to that, because fear is such a factor in so many lives when it doesn't have to be, does it?
Absolutely. And I want to share, if I can, Ron, just a quick analogy that really hit it out of the park for me. One of my favorite authors is Richard Rohr. And Richard came up with an analogy here about 8 months ago. And it goes like this. We as human beings are kind of like electric wires. What comes in is what goes out. And basically, give an example, if someone calls us a name, we typically call them a name right back. And most people pass on the same energy that's directed to them. Now, if you compare that electric wire to one of the big gray transformers that's on our utility poles here in the community, you see that dangerous current that comes in that electric wire. Something happens to it in that transformer. And the energy in that gray box then turns into something that's productive and helpful. And quite honestly, the analogy Richard made is that that's exactly what we need to have within ourselves, is that gray transformer that can take that negative energy, that fear, that anxiety, and turn it into something productive. And that's really what my book is about. What I hope I can do is help transform some of those challenges we're all facing into something that's positive and productive. And many of my chapters go into that. And what I try to do at the end of each chapter is provide an encouraging attitude for that challenge, a spiritual insight, and a step to consider when you're facing a challenge similar to that.
Dave, you're in the Iowa High School Coaches Hall of Fame. You know the ups and downs of sports, and we all love the sports metaphors that you write about. We really do, and reflections from the home team. But your diagnosis came, interestingly, in 2009 on March 2nd, which just happened to be your birthday. So I know you and your wife, Tricia, and your children, I'm sure, have had some amazingly serious discussions behind the scenes. But what has always impressed me about you is your positivity. No matter what, you're not the type of guy to sit back and say, woe is me, why did this happen to me? Particularly, as you mentioned, in 2020. But life lesson, who controls your life? You do. That's what you write in your new book. Expand on that a little bit for people who are watching.
Yeah, we do control not so much what comes at us as challenges, but how we're going to react to them. That's really important. And I have to be honest with you. I have had those times when I've questioned why me, um, why is this coming my way at this time, just as all of us do. And really, the reason I wrote this book is to share my troubles, my burdens, my worries, and how I've tried to work my way through those in a positive way. And that's really, I guess that's the essence of what I'm trying to do here. Ron, I reflect on this, and I think God didn't really save me from something. He saved me for something. And the something that I think he saved me for is to help provide that message of positivity and encouragement. And it's not always easy to do, but when I do struggle with it, the best way for me to process that personally is to write about it, to reflect on it, and hopefully by sharing those messages, I can do the same for other folks. There's a lot of us out there that are really struggling given COVID and giving job issues and giving family issues, health issues, you name it. 2020 has been a handful for all of us.
I notice you write this quote, and this is from you, but you say, we all need margin in our lives. What do you mean by that? Let's expand on that a little bit.
Well, there's something that's called a liminal moment. And the liminal moment is that space between when we're faced with a challenge and how we react to it. And there's been a lot of liminal moments in my life. And what I'm trying to do is, again, when I refer to that big gray transformer that we look at, I'm trying to have some of those positive things within myself that when that negative energy or challenge comes into my system or into my thoughts, I'm going to take that moment to come up with some steps, to come up with some attitudes that I can help change that into a positive situation and make it productive. And that's the margin I'm talking about. Um, it takes a little bit of time. You got to take a deep breath many times and try and deal with that. And that's the purpose of this book. I think many of those chapters deal with exactly those situations. And about the last third of the book, sort of the COVID situation, a lot of things came through my mind. And given the spike that we're in right now in Black Hawk County and the state of Iowa, a lot of people are going through some challenging times. And in fact, that's why we're Zooming today, for the safety of everybody involved. So it's affecting everyone right now, Ron. And hopefully some positivity needs to come forward, from our discussion today and the things that we talk about in the book.
We'll continue our discussion with Dave Welter in just a moment. Right now, let's continue our discussion with Dave Welter. You were treated and you're a survivor thanks to the University of Iowa Cancer Center in Iowa City and the Hope Lodge.
I've shared with you that when I came into Iowa City with my diagnosis, there were 6 of us that came in the same day with the same diagnosis with throat cancer. And they gave us the numbers. They said, typically there's a 50% survival rate. And sure enough, of the 6 of us that came in, 3 of us survived and 3 of us didn't. And their numbers are right on. But to be quite honest with you, I really developed some special relationships with all 6 of those people because we were at Hope Lodge. And Hope Lodge was so good about providing comfort and strength and camaraderie, basically relationships with other people. My wife and I have decided Hope Lodge is so good to us, helping us get through a difficult time in our life, financially and as a place to stay in Iowa City, that we're going to donate a portion of proceeds from the books from my website to Hope Lodge in Iowa City. And Hope Lodge right now is going through a difficult time because they've had to shut down their operations because cancer patients, as you know, are immune deficient. And given that, they're not able to treat cancer patients at this time or keep them at their facility. But what they've done instead is they're offering Hope Lodge as a place for frontline workers at the University of Iowa hospitals to stay during their working periods because they don't want to take that potential COVID situation home to their families.
Mhm.
So, like Hope Lodge always does, they find a hope and a way to help develop things for people in a positive manner. And that's why we decided to donate a portion of those proceeds to Hope Lodge.
You've got the home team. So many people also have very, very close home team with them, so that makes a big difference. Your book, Reflections from the Home Team, the follow-up to the original Go the Distance, Reflections from the Home Team. This book is called Staying Positive When Life Throws You a Curve. I'll let you real quickly say, Dave, how can people get a hold of your book and where can they purchase it?
Um, Real simple, Ron. It's available at a number of local outlets. TJ's Christian Bookstore here in town, Barnes and Noble. It's on Amazon. But I would encourage people, if at all possible, to get onto my website, which is reflectionsfromthehometeam.com, because what I'd like to do is personalize the copies of my book for people so that they can feel that connection, that interaction as well. And I'm always available if people need someone to talk and chat with. I'd love to do that and develop those personal relationships.
That's fantastic. And you notice you like to personalize the book. And here in the copy you gave me, you've written a very, very nice message. And I certainly am deeply appreciative of that. Dave Welter, as always, stay healthy, stay positive. I know you will for sure. And thanks always for letting us know what's going on in your life.
Thank you so much, Ron, and blessings your way, and stay healthy and be well. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Oh, thank you so much, Dave. Really appreciate that. Really great.
Yeah, you've been so positive in our community, Ron, getting those positive messages out, and I can't thank you enough for that over the years. Um, it's been a real help for me too, and hopefully we can get this message out to folks. And
Unfortunately, once again, we are out of time for this week's program. As always, you can find our programs on kwwo.com. Just go to the watch section, go down to the Steele Report. All of our previous shows are there for your view. Thanks for watching this week. We'll see you right here again next week.